members. So we find in 3 core chapters, like why we should invite to build, people want to start working their network before we actually have it in place. So we want to get to 20 members as fast as possible, right? So we want to focus on building our power teams. And hopefully everybody on this call knows what a power team is. We're going to get into that later, right, Bob?
Yes.
Exactly what we're doing with the power teams.
Yes, sir.
So build the network before we work the network. And what I found, I've been doing this for 16 years, helping chapters grow, is we find that a lot of times chapter groups, they'll get kind of stagnant maybe at 9 or 10 members, and they'll want to start working the network. They'll want to start working the referrals with each other. And when you do that, you take away the focus from building the chapter. Because if you start focusing on getting referrals for each other, what's going to end up happening is your focus of building is going to drop, and you're going to have a 9 to 10 member chapter that's not even going to be producing a lot of business. So the reason we want to grow this is to make sure that we focus on inviting. Givers gain. Everyone must row the boat, guys. So rowing the boat. This was an analogy that I thought of a couple years ago. We had a chapter in, I think it was one of the Westlake groups that was growing. We had a kid we used the mortgage kid, and he was trying to grow this thing. There was 8 members. He was doing all the inviting, and the other members said they were trying, but he was the one doing all the work. He was out there. He was hitting the pavement. We'd do accountability, and he would invite 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 people in a week. And he really did, because he was the one that always had the visitors. He felt proud of it. Like he was happy. The other members weren't pulling their weight. And I don't care what chapter it is or what group. Some of you guys I've worked with, some of you guys I haven't. In every group, I've seen it in every one of them, where there's people that are pulling their weight and there's people that aren't. And I have to tell you that if you're one of the ones that aren't inviting, Bob and I are going to be the ones getting the phone calls from the members, telling us that they'll hold resentment towards you. So rowing the boat is this. If you're one of the members, and for those of you on the call that are in the membership committees, when you're interviewing your members or your applicants, one of the questions you want to ask is, are you going to be able to help invite? Are you going to be one of the team players in our group? Because if you're not willing to put forth the effort of inviting, you're going to bring the whole boat down. And so to me, rowing the boat is this. You ever seen a rowing team? Everyone's in the boat. You're all heading from one side of the lake to the next. Everyone's got an oar in their hand. Anyone that's not doing the inviting has the row basically on their lap and their feet up, and they're letting everybody else do the work. So the ones that are actually doing the work will get kind of fed up and won't be doing it much longer. Because if me and Bob are building a chapter together and I'm doing all the inviting and Bob isn't, I'm going to stop inviting. So contact spheres.
Hold on, Tony. Before you go on to contact spheres, a couple other things. Number one, Tony also will often ask this question. So if you're in a boat and everybody's rowing and you're not rowing, what does that make you? Makes you the anchor. You're the anchor. And guys, I've seen it time and time again. There's actually a group on this call right now that has jettisoned actually a couple of anchors. And as soon as they jettisoned those anchors, they leapt forward. And it was pretty impressive to see them remove those anchors. And now there's a culture of inviting in the whole group. So it's not easy. It's a tough conversation to have sometimes. I believe in coach them up before you coach them out. That's part of the reason we wanted to do this call, is if you had somebody that was not doing the inviting, getting them on this call, or, I'm recording it again. So getting them onto it from Tony's YouTube page, coach them up. But if they're not willing to be coached up or able to be coached up, then, we need to coach them out. You'll see once you jettison that anchor, the boat will rush forward.
Guys, if you think about it, guys, if everyone in your group has the same passion to build it, it'll grow a lot faster. But if you're the one that, or maybe you're 3 or 4 out of 5, or 3 or 4 out of 7 that are building it, if you're the ones that are passionate about it and you don't have everyone on board, it's going to take a long time. And if you are one of the ones that are putting forth the effort and the other ones aren't, it's going to take you a long time to build it. So make sure every person has just as much weight in the game as you do.
Tony, I know you want to go to contact spheres. Before you do that, let's just talk really quickly about the expectations of your teammates. And here's what I'll say about that. Inviting is expected by your teammates. And this is kind of like what I was talking about with the culture. Your fellow members expect you to invite. And just think about it. I'm going to be asking these folks to give me business. And I've got to earn their respect. I've got to get my credibility up there. If I'm just hanging out and riding coattails, what are the chances that they're going to want to give me any business if they just see me as a mooch? So the expectation of your teammates is that everyone is going to invite. Your teammates expect you to have a good positive attitude. They expect you to be just as committed as they are in doing the inviting. So make sure that all of your members are equally committed to do the inviting. And if you sense someone isn't committed, it's a tough conversation, but it's a fair conversation to have. Just pull them aside and ask them, how committed are you to this group? How committed are you to helping us grow this group? Because we can't have, okay, so I'm doing a training in BNI University right now, and the next class's title is called No Spectators, like spectators, but spectators. I thought that was cute. Anyway, so that's what we don't want in BNIs. We don't want any spectators. If you're there just to take, if you're not there to help grow the group, then this probably isn't the right opportunity for you. So your teammates are expecting you. Make sure all your members know your teammates are expecting you to do the inviting. All right, go ahead, Tony. You wanted to talk about who to invite.
Can you back up on that one real quick? So we had a chapter that implemented if you don't bring a visitor within 4 weeks, you get your application handed back to you, because every time they were doing accountability, there was a member that kept standing up and would say, we're going around the room doing accountability, and this member would stand up and say, you know what, I didn't invite anybody. This real nice, real likable member, real good person, just not great at building. And every time the member would stand up, they'd say, I just haven't had a chance to invite anybody this week. Every week it was the same thing. So everyone else is inviting, this person wasn't. So the founder took the member aside and said, look, if you're too busy for BNI, that's wonderful. If you're too busy to help grow it, that's wonderful. But you can't hold the seat if you're not able to help us grow it. He was really nice about it. And the guy said, no, I'm committed. Well, they had 2 more meetings where he stood up and he said, embarrassingly, I still didn't get a chance to invite anybody. So they ended up opening up his category. The nice thing was they gave him that friendly warning beforehand. They let him know like it was coming if you didn't start inviting. So it wasn't so uncomfortable, because when it came time for them to, pull the plug on him, he knew it was his fault. It wasn't the fault of the chapter. So this is what happened. They pulled the plug. It was an 8-member chapter at the time. They opened up his category. It was an insurance spot. Opened up his category. They interviewed. They didn't let somebody join, but they interviewed for his position. The next insurance agent that applied, they accepted. He helped build that chapter. So this stagnant group of 8 members ended up helping them get to 20 members a lot faster. It's almost like it was a booster shot in the arm. So make sure that everyone's expected to grow. And I like that. Are all the groups implementing that, by the way, Bob, to have a visitor within 4 weeks or
all groups know that that's on the expectation sheet. It is something that we probably need to get a little more serious about at some point in time with some groups, but that is on the expectation sheet that we share with them in, I think, pre-core week 2 or 3, maybe week 2.
And by the way, guys, that should come from you guys, not from us. If that gets enforced, that should be enforced by you. So it's a group thing, not coming from the directors. Okay, who to invite? Contact. I was going to talk about this a few minutes ago, wasn't I? Contact spheres, guys. So the definition of a contact sphere is people that share the same customers as you, but don't compete for business. A lot of times they do compete for business. We can get into that later, but a contact sphere is people that share your same customer audience. Here we go. Perfect. Events, real estate and finance, wellness. Take a look at this. This screen, this PDF, and look at your profession. Find out see which categories are not in your group, and you want to help fill these categories, because 2 things. 1, it's going to make it easier to build your chapter with people that you can give business to and it's going to make it easier to get business from these people, right? So we have a saying in BNI, what is it? Givers gain. People that give business get business, right? So think about who you personally can concentrate on funneling business to. And those are the professions that you want to focus in on, and try to get them in your chapter, because it makes it a lot easier to recruit them, doesn't it? When you think about, when we're going to get into how to approach these people, but when you do actually approach these people, you're going to be able to say, hey, I've got an opening in my group, in my BNI chapter for your position. We're only letting one in, and I personally can give you business regularly. So you want to focus on building your contact spheres. What's the next slide, Bob?
So the next slide here, this is what we call the 8-in-6 spreadsheet. You guys have maybe seen a version of this in your pre-core groups. It might be early for you to have seen them, but some of you may have seen these in your pre-core groups. And these basically break down the 6 power teams that we suggest, and then the most popular categories in each of those power teams. So we have more travel agents here in Northeast Ohio BNI than we do jewelers. But still, jewelers, very popular category. So these are the most popular categories broken into the various power teams to kind of help you think about who should we invite to our chapter. If you are a financial advisor and you don't have a CPA in your chapter, second most popular category in financial services in BNI. So a very hot one to get into. So this is another way to look at. So I'm thinking about who should I invite. Again, looking at your power teams, your contact spheres. Those mean different things. We'll get into that in more detail later. For now, just look at them as somewhat synonymous, certainly related terms. So contact spheres are huge. Tony, I think you mentioned this. Did you want to talk any more about, because in my notes, I see a number of things that you talk about. Who can you give referrals to?
Yeah, I mean, think about who you personally write checks out to, or give your credit card out to on a regular basis. Maybe it's your wife, maybe it's you, maybe who's going to the hairstylist. Well, no one's going now, but you know, when things are opened up, who's getting their hair done? I mean, do you pay for a daycare center? Where do you take your dog to get groomed? Who's your auto mechanic? A lot of times we don't think about the people that are right in front of us, the people that we know that are right here. Maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's a relative. And I'm sure if we looked at our social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, you're going to find people that you could actually refer business to right away. Don't look too far past to what you have in front of you. But at the same time, guys, like I was telling Bob, I called him up. I had an ear infection about a month, like 2 days before the shutdown. I'm laying on my couch with an ear infection, and I had a knock at the door. It was a roofing company. Apparently, the guy thinks I need a roof, so he knocks at my door, sends some kid up to my door, and says, he asked me a question about my roof, and I said, you know, I'm fine. Who's in your truck with you? And he says, that's my boss. Can I come out and talk to him? He said, yeah. So I come outside with this cloth over my ear, holding my ear. And I asked him, I said, do you do this cold calling a lot? Do you walk into all these places a lot, or, you know, pull up to people's houses? And he said, all the time. And I just chuckled. I go, you ever heard of BNI? And he said, no. I go, it's a group. They allow one person per profession in. And I said, I have a number of groups that would welcome you into it, and you can stop all this cold calling stuff. The group becomes your sales team. That's all I said about it. He was so excited. The kid that works for him started laughing. He said, look at this. He goes, you turned this whole sales thing around on me. And it's not that I'm good at sales. That's not it at all. It's just I always see an opportunity for BNI. I always see it. I walked into Levin Furniture one day. My mother told me there was a deal. They were 30% off, Bob, the area rugs. You need to go to Levin Furniture and get your area rug. So I walk in, all the ladies are sitting, all the salespeople are sitting down on a couch when you walked in. And I said, man, I want your job. And one of them blurted out, well, we get paid off commission. So if we're sitting around, we're not getting paid. And as I was walking, I didn't even stop. I just said, well, you guys need BNI, man. And some woman jumps up and she started chasing me down. She said, I've heard about BNI. What is it? I said, show me the area rugs. I'll tell you about BNI. And all I asked her was, if you're looking for more business to bring customers in here, then you need to go visit one. I didn't go into details of anything else. she ends up in one of my chapters, my Strongsville chapter. She's still a member to this day. And this conversation took place probably 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago.
Hey, Tony, you mentioned who can give you referrals, or who you can give referrals to. We also wanted to talk about who gives you referrals. What do you want to say about that?
I can't remember.
Okay, good. I'm glad we prepped this.
Well, hold on. No, hold on a second, because on this topic, and you know, guys, it's hard for me to do this off a screen or off PowerPoint. What Bob and I are talking about right now with you guys is something I do daily for 16 years. I've been doing this, so forgive me if I blabber off at the mouth. But the one thing that comes to mind when I'm talking about who can you give referrals to, think about this. When you're in the middle of a transaction, when you're in the middle of maybe a presentation or your sales, you're closing a sale, whatever it is, you personally have an opportunity to refer business to somebody else, right? And here's an example. What got me into BNI years ago were these little air purifiers that I sold. I sold these little household air purifiers. And when I was closing a sale in front of my customer, or when I was at the Home and Garden Show presenting it, we're already on the topic of air purification and clean air. It just came out naturally. I would say, you know what, you need to get your air ducts cleaned as well. And that led to a lot of stuff for HVAC. But I became a strong referral source because it naturally came out. Like, you need to call this company to get your air ducts cleaned. You need to call this person to get your HVAC looked at. It just happened naturally. So think about when you're in your sale, when you're in your presentation, who can you bring business to? Those are the people, whatever professions that come up in your mind, those are the people you want to zero in on and invite them to your group. And I'm going to put somebody on the spot. Was it Tanya? I think you said you asked somebody to apply. I'm sorry, you asked somebody to join your chapter. You might be having trouble to get people to join your chapter. You replace that word from join. We're going to get into this a little bit later, but replace that word with join to apply. You want people to apply to your group. You want people to feel like there is a fear of loss. You're only letting one person in your chapter, guys. Whoever gets in there from their profession is going to be blessed because you're going to be giving them your referrals.
So obviously with Giver's Gain, we talk about who can you give referrals to. That's a natural person to invite. Think about who can give you referrals as well. The other thing, though, I want to give you a word of caution and a quick story on is don't prejudge. You might think, oh, this person is so busy, they don't have time for BNI, or they don't need BNI. They've got all the business they can handle, or whatever you might think. And I'm telling you, that's a mistake. Let the members, let the potential members judge for themselves. Get the visitor to the meeting and let them decide. You'd be surprised. I've been surprised sometimes with the folks that show up at a meeting. I'm like, God, that person, no way they're going to apply for membership. And sure enough, they apply. This kind of bit me in the backside because I was launching the Aurora chapter, and a guy walks in. His name is Robert Palmer, not the singer. May he rest in peace. But this guy actually was a plumber. He was actually a client of mine for my law practice as well. And he walks in and he's like, Bob, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm kind of the director for BNI. What are you doing here? He goes, oh, a buddy of mine is, I guess, a member of this group, and he invited me to come for my plumbing business. Looking to grow my plumbing business, and he invited me. He goes, what do you mean you're a director? I go, yeah, I've been doing a director thing for probably about 5-6 years at that time. I've got the law practice, but I also am a director for BNI. He looks at me and goes, wait a minute, because you've been doing it for 5 or 6 years. I go, yeah. He goes, why didn't you ever invite me to a meeting? What, you don't think I'm good enough for your BNI group? And I'm like, Robert, no, that's not it at all. Honestly, because I'm your attorney, I see how busy you are and how much business you have. And I just didn't think you needed BNI. So I never, bothered you about it. I got to tell you, folks, I almost lost a really good law client that day. It took me some serious whining and dining to kind of placate him and keep him on as a law client. I didn't want to lose his law business. And I almost did because I prejudged. And I didn't invite him to a BNI meeting. Somebody else did. By the way, just to tell you the rest of the story, not only did he join that chapter, he put one of his employees in another chapter. So boy, was I off the mark on that one. So don't prejudge. Invite folks to BNI, regardless of how busy you think they are or whatever. I mean, you want quality people. You want the best of the best. But don't prejudge if you think that they won't want to apply or join or what have you. All right, this is really, there's a couple of things that I think are really the heart of what we're talking about today, and this is part of it. And that's where to find people to invite. Because obviously, in today's Zoom world, my daughter's boyfriend just gave her a T-shirt that said Zoom University, because they both finished up school on Zoom, doing all their classes on Zoom. So anyway, as long as the diploma says University of Cincinnati, because that's where I paid a lot of money, I'll be okay with it. But so where to find people in the Zoom world? Where do you look to find folks? And Tony, I know we talked earlier about a list of opportunities. So you want to dive in there?
Yeah. So online networking events or other networking events. I'm part of, in addition to business coaching, I'm a real estate investor. So I'm a big part of Greater Cleveland REIA. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting tonight. We'll have close to 100 people, maybe even more than that, on tonight. And so I'm a big part of REIA. I'm a big part of, some people have heard of Elder Care Professionals of Ohio. I know Kristen's a member. And these are groups that I personally belong to. I'm constantly, whenever I'm in front of these people, I'm constantly talking about BNI. And by the way, guys, even if I wasn't a director, I'd be doing this, because I did this long before I was a director. I just believe in it so much. But other networking events, social media. Can you click the slide again, Bob? If it's following along with, there it is. I love how it bounces in. I think that's cool. Social media, guys. So Facebook, LinkedIn, those are the only two that really come to mind. MySpace, that's still around. I don't know. But Facebook and LinkedIn seem to be the biggest. And Bay Village is one of our newest chapters. And last year, when I was helping them, there was a meeting that I attended to. They were doing a lot of stuff online. And all they were doing was just putting posts out. Like, hey, whatever it was, like, hey, our BNI group is meeting, or our networking group is meeting this Tuesday. We're really looking for some tradespeople, specifically a plumber and a painter that we can refer people to. And they were getting so many bites on that. I walked into one meeting, there were seven visitors, which is, it's impressive already, but all seven came from a Facebook post. That's really impressive. So Bob and I were talking about this the other day, and I'm like, hey, why don't can I share the screen real quick, Bob?
Please. Yep.
And I did this a couple of years ago too. It wasn't about building a chapter. It was just about passing referrals. But I posted something on Facebook a couple of years ago. And if I remember, I was just being cocky. And I'm like, hey, everybody, watch me create a referral. And then the next sentence was, hey, can anyone use a tradesperson, a contractor, a plumber, an electrician? Let me know. I've got a lot of connections I can help you with. And then I went to bed. When I woke up, there was 6, 7, 9 referrals that I was passing out to the people that I knew. And so when Bob and I were talking about the other day, I'm like, hey, let's try something right now for this meeting. So I posted a question, share screen. It says, this will stop other screen sharing. Do you want to continue? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, boom, share. Do you guys see the purple thing there, the purple post?
I'm seeing some moderate nodding. I'm not seeing a lot of enthusiastic nodding. Thumbs up, anybody? See the purple post? That's what I see. All right, good.
Okay, so I did this the other day. I think it was like Saturday. Anyone know a good chiropractor looking for new patients in the Strongsville area? I have a BNI group looking for a good chiropractor to give their referrals to. Please let me know. Instantly, as soon as I posted that, Medina comes up with this, her brother. And then the next, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to reshare. I think that's the only way now to do this. This was, is it showing or not?
Yes. Yep. We got it.
Okay. This was the rest of it. So Medina had 1. There's another one, 2. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5 people. And there were more that were added to that. And I did this just for an example, guys. Like, I just did the Solon meeting this morning. Solon 3 is another new chapter that's going up. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I just did the Solon meeting this morning, and they need a mortgage person. I just heard, Jonathan, you guys still need mortgage over there. I posted on Facebook this morning, hey, new Solon group going up. They need a mortgage person. Already, 5 minutes after I posted that, there were 3 leads on there. Now, that's the first step, getting the people's names to call. What do you say to them once you call them, right? Are we doing that now, Bob? Or are we doing that a little while?
No, let's keep going with where we find people. Then we will get to the how to invite. But Tony, we're at 20 minutes till 3, so we need to kind of pick it up a little bit.
Social events, tier 1.
Any social events you guys are doing online, real quick. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting invited to all kinds of happy hours and socials and all kinds of stuff. Those are networking opportunities. And in fact, if the person running the meeting knows how to do a breakout room, you could even say to them, hey, Tony, I know you're hosting this meeting, but Dom said something really interesting that I want to talk to him more about, but I don't want to disrupt the rest of the meeting. Could you throw me and Dom into a breakout room real quick so that I can follow up with him more? Great opportunity then for me to invite Dom to my BNI meeting. Then we go back and finish our cocktails with the rest of the group. So tons of socials online. I'm not a big drinker, but I've been to so many happy hours. I find myself drinking more these times than ever before. Real quick, I'll talk to tier 1 and 2, Tony, and then you can do your exception. Tier 1 referral or tier 1 invite is somebody I know personally. So I'm going to invite my personal accountant. I'm going to invite my banker. But that's okay. Maybe I don't know of a good, accountant to invite. So I can ask everybody I talk to, do you know of a good accountant? Right? Mother's Day is coming up. I'm going to be socially distanced with my family out in my mom's, backyard on Sunday. And so I might say to my brother-in-law, hey, do you know of a good accountant or a good bank or whatever that I can invite to my BNI group? If he says, yeah, here's the information. All those, the referrals that Tony got on the Facebook page, those are tier 2. So Tony will call Medina's brother. Let's say his name is Joe, because I don't remember his name. Hey, Joe, this is Tony. Your sister Medina told me to give you a call, said you're a good chiropractor, might be looking to grow your business. That's how the invite should go. So, and we'll show you more scripts for that in a second, but tier 2 is great. One of the things I talk about is I don't like cold calls, and Tony pushes back on this. So Tony, give the exception to the cold call.
So guys, I understand that after a while, if you've been doing this for a while, you can kind of run out of your resources, if you will. And that's where Bob and I go back and forth. So when we go into the tier 2, which is what he just explained. But in addition, guys, there's a lot of opportunity that's in front of us. It's called reverse marketing. It's cold calling, however you want to look at it. But guys, these right here are magazines that people spend money on every day for advertising. And I live in the Parma area. Don't judge me over that. Kidding. This is the Gold Clipper magazine. This issue, this one issue, has, I can't remember if it's 12 or 14 roofing companies in one issue competing for the business. And my one buddy who's a roofer in this magazine, he said, Tony, our budget for that magazine is $20,000 a year to compete with 12 other people inside the magazine. So we did this at one chapter we were building. They were looking for a roofer, and we did this on the spot. I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we just called somebody out of the book right now in front of the whole group? So in front of in the meeting, we opened up the book, and I called I put him on speaker, and I called the roofer. I'm like, hey man, I just saw your ad in the whatever it was, the Gold Clipper, and he was like, hey man, yeah, that's it. That's my ad. And I'm like, you getting some good business out of it? And whatever he said. I'm like, well, I'm sitting with a group of 12 people right now in Brunswick, and they are looking to give business to a roofer. And everyone starts cheering and laughing, and this guy starts cracking up laughing. And I go, this is no BS. They're looking for one roofer they can give their business to. Once they get him in here, the spot's closed. So if you're interested, I'll give you their contact information, blah, blah, blah. And we had fun with it. Guys, it's called reverse marketing. And there's so many opportunities out there. And David Streeter, I always like to give him credit. He's from Streeter Law. He has this unbelievable script, and I've memorized it. And it was the Power Partners chapter years ago. They had 8 members. They couldn't grow. And I came in there one day. I'm like, guys, I can't keep coming back here to talk. I'm here for your visitors. Like, I can't keep coming back if it's just members. Came back the next week, there were 9 people in the room. I walk in, I'm like, how'd you guys get 9 people? And David Streeter said, we did these call sessions out of my office. We got together and we just called a bunch of plumbers and painters and whatever. And I said, what'd you say? Here it is. Here's the script. Do we have it written down, Bob? Is it on the slide? The script or no?
I have the scripts for from corporate. I don't have the Streeter script.
Okay, I'll just tell it to you because I've got it memorized and I actually have it written down. I can email it off to you guys if you want, but this is it. Picture calling your own prospects this way. Here it is. Hi, my name is David Streeter from Streeter Law. I currently don't have a CPA. that I give my business there for my clients to. If you are a CPA that's been around for a while, somebody that's reputable, somebody that I can trust and feel comfortable giving my referrals to, please call me back. I'd like to talk to you about building a referral partnership. And if David would have said in that script, if you're a CPA that wants business, call me back, I want to give it to you, he'd never call back. But instead, he built a criteria, what he was looking for. He said, hey, I currently don't have a painter in my database that I refer my clients to. And here's the criteria. If you're a painter, or you're a CPA that's been around for a while, somebody that's reputable, somebody that I can feel comfortable referring people to, and you like the idea of building a partnership, a referral partnership, call me back. Now think about this. If this was you personally and you got that phone call, would you ever hesitate? You'd always call back because you want business, right? It's just a brilliant script. I always like to give Streeter credit for that because that script has helped build chapters, by the way.
Hey, Tony, if you would, you can attach that file to the chat box if you'd like. I'm going to quickly go through the rest of this slide because I want to get to the how to invite. So real quick, guys, customers and clients. Think about your current customers and clients. Those are great people to invite, and especially if you've got a plumber named Robert Palmer that is a customer or client. Make sure you invite customers and clients so they don't get invited by somebody else and you get embarrassed. Let's see, where else to find people? Tony mentioned reverse marketing. My quick war story on that one is I had a woman call me and try and sell me a copy machine at my office. And I said to her, I'm sorry, I only do business with BNI members. What chapter are you in? Oh, I've heard of BNI, and you know, I don't know, I'm not in a chapter, but I want to get into one. Can you help me with that? I'm like, you have no idea who you just called. So reverse marketing, I love it. Anyone who solicits you, flip the script and solicit them. Mentioned, you know, Mother's Day coming up. Ask friends, ask family. Your contact sphere obviously is a great place to look for folks to invite. So work the contact sphere thing too. Let's talk about how to invite now. One of the number one things in inviting, I wrote down the top 3 barriers to people being successful in inviting. And I think attitude is one of them. Attitude is a problem because too many of us go, oh my gosh, you're a CPA. We've been looking for a CPA forever. We would love to have you join our group. That's exactly the wrong attitude. The attitude you want to have is, you know, I discovered this really cool thing that might help you grow your business. I'm kind of excited about it. Maybe I'll let you come along. Maybe I'll invite you to the meeting. You want to have an attitude of, I'm doing you a favor by inviting you. You're not doing me a favor by coming to the meeting. So make sure you have the correct attitude. Nobody likes to do business with desperate people. So don't be desperate and don't beg. Don't be desperate and don't beg. Use a script. A script is really important. I want to share with you guys. This is an official script that BNI has put together here. I'll attach this to the chat box in a minute as well. But this is new. This is fresh off the presses. I just got this from corporate a couple days ago, and it talks about how to invite, you know, in person, if you will, or by the phone. I like the email one, and then it gives you one here that if you were referred to the person as well. The email one, but look how short and simple this is. Hi, I'm putting together an exclusive networking, a network of successful business people. All right, so it's exclusive and it's successful people who believe in helping each other grow our businesses. Helping each other. Love that. We're looking for a reliable whoever to add to our network and refer business to over time. I immediately thought of you. Would you be available on Thursday at 7 a.m.? That's it. That's all you got to say. It really should be that short and that simple. So I'll share this with you guys so you can see the different versions of it. It's a brilliant script, and it really does need to be that simple. So use a script that is truly that cut and dry and that direct. All right. Show scripts. I did show the scripts. All right. So how do you invite? Also, don't say too much. We talk about this a lot. Don't talk about money. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, "Yeah, Bob, they're pushing back a little bit on the investment to join." And I said, "Why do they even know the investment to join?" Well, I was telling them about it. No, Tony and I'll give you some more scripts to work with in a minute here. But no, they should have no idea about how much it is. Don't mention money. Don't mention weekly. Don't mention all the commitment stuff, because we're not looking for them to make a commitment to join the group. We're looking, that's way too much commitment stuff. I mean, you're asking me to get married, and we haven't even been on a first date. How about you buy me a drink first? How about that? So don't start talking about, you know, commitment. I mean, look, I've been married for 25 years. I dated my wife for a year. So I've been out of the game for 26 years. But I just can't imagine going on a first date. And as we're sitting on the date, oh, by the way, before we go on a date, how many kids do you want to have? Can you imagine that? So, yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't speak about, the single dating world, but I just think that would be horrifying. So don't talk about commitments. Don't say too much. The other thing when it comes to how to invite is you've got to make it a priority. Look, I'm no busier than you are. You're no busier than I am. It's got to be a priority. The people that don't do the inviting, I think this is the second biggest barrier, is they say they're too busy. No, you're not too busy. You just didn't make it a priority. I have in front of me here, this is my to-do list. I don't know if you can see it on the screen at all. Anyway, this is my to-do list, right? I got it color-coded and everything. Every day before I finish my day, I update my to-do list and I print it out. It's at the top of my stack. So tomorrow I look at my to-do list and that's the first things I tackle. And you know what? If inviting is on there, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I've never been a big believer in time blocking, but I was having some challenges completing some things on my to-do list. So I talked to my business coach about it and he pushed me on the whole time blocking thing. And I'm like, that's so simplistic. It's so fundamental. I mean, come on. It's like making Major League Baseball players go through spring training every single year. Oh, wait. They do that, don't they? Every single year,